Hello everybody and welcome to this guide and tutorial for the golden shot. Difficulty level is hard and I will show you 6 shots with plenty of hole-in-ones in how to crush this version of the Parc. Before we take a closer look, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. For those of you that do want to improve your game even more, you go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, sign up to any of our tour and or tournament guide packages and improve your game already today. Once again, link is in the description down below. So we are going to play Parc de Paris, but we're gonna play Parc de Paris with the old hole location, meaning that we're not gonna have the one that we had in the recent tournament Champ de Mars. So, and that's good because this one is easier to attack, at least in my opinion, and I'm very pleased with the guide that we have now. This is not going to be one of the harder ones. It's not going to be one of the absolute easier ones, but it's towards the easier side of things, so it's definitely a good chance to stock up with some berserkers in my opinion. We in this hard, we can win the obsidian chest for the hole-in-one, amber chest for the yellow ring, we do have crimson chest for the red ring, aqua chest for the light blue ring, and then cobalt chest for the dark blue ring. Press the question mark on the top right to get to the frequently asked questions about the golden shot. If you do have more questions or experience an error, you press the button here to send in a ticket to the Golf Clash support. We're gonna play golden long iron every single time. Max +10 is the adjustment, and the VPR table is on the right hand side. Even though that we will be having the 2 different landing positions, is always going to be the same adjustment. I want to be very clear that the reason we have 2 different landing positions is to avoid a glitch roll that otherwise will occur in tailwind / crosswind or in headwind if we would be using the same. It's kind of like if using the same position all the time, there will always be one type of wind direction that will give you a glitch roll many times, and that's why we do have 2 landing positions, even though I don't like that, but yeah, it's it had to be explained. Let's take a look at the landing position, and this is going to be the landing. Let's make that a little bit bigger. This is the landing position that we're using in tailwind and in crosswind. You can see that I'm using the yellow ring to be by the top of the, or like just by the shadow, top of the yellow ring by the shadow, and then the right side of the yellow ring to be by the rough line. You can also use the ball guideline if you would like to use that as a reference. However, that's tough to see, so I personally am only using the yellow ring as the clock in the golden shot goes very quick. Let's take a look at the one that we are using in headwind. Now we're using a very similar position. We're just backing up a little bit again to avoid the glitch roll. Bottom of the yellow ring by the shadow, and then right side of the yellow ring by the rough line. And then you can see the ball guideline is before spin, always before spin in the golden shot, and then when you have it just left of the cup. So this is for headwind, the one we just seen or just saw before is the one for tailwind and for crosswind. Now let's take a look at some shots as well. I do have 6 shots for you, and we're gonna start with a southwest wind. And when we do have a headwind, remember we're using the bottom of the yellow ring by the shadow and then the right side of the yellow ring by the rough. And I think that's something that is worth to remember. Like if we have a headwind, it's always the bottom of the yellow ring by the shadow. If we have a tailwind crosswind, it's always the top of the yellow ring that is by the shadow. I think that's a very good thing to just have in mind, and that will help you remember. We're always going to pull over the bullseye here. 6.2 miles per hour is 3.7 rings. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this is going to be a good chance to get the ball in the hole. Bounces on the fairway up towards the green, and we are burning the absolute very edge here to start with, getting the yellow ring. And as I always say, with a perfect ball and executed as should according to the guide, you will be getting a red ring as per minimum. Now we go to the next one, and then we do have a wind that is the opposite direction, so southeast this time, and we're having the bottom of the yellow ring by the shadow, as already, you know, talked about. Headwind, bottom of the yellow ring is what we're looking for then. Now in this angle, we're gonna use 2.7 backspin and 0.2 left spin here. Maybe a tad too much backspin, in my opinion, but we'll see. 6.5 miles per hour, 3.9 rings to pull, and we're going to once again pull over the bullseye. Center the ball and hit perfect. Have in mind that the clock goes quicker in the golden shot, so don't wait too long. We do not want to time out and lose our shot that way. Bounces on the fairway. You can see I had a tad too much backspin and staying short in line. That's, in my opinion, the absolute worst thing that can happen, because then you're not even giving the ball a chance to drop in the hole. So we see what we do get here. Extra mile. We do have Kingfisher, Sand Lizard, Skewer, and Hornet, and some Berserker balls in the end. Moving on, and now we do have a wind, a slight tailwind here together with crosswind. Remember, tailwind, crosswind, top of the yellow ring to be by the shadow, and then obviously the right side of the yellow ring as well. Now, when we do have such an in-between wind here, we're obviously going to have to look at the value for direct crosswind and the value for northeast wind, or tailwind left to right, and then do something in between. So here I'm using 3.8 backspin and 0.3 left spin. So I'm using the in-between value for backspin here, and just hoping that I'm making the right call. The in-between angles is obviously the most difficult ones there is. Perfect ball, and we are bouncing on the fairway up towards the green, and we're getting this one to swirl into the hole like a real beauty for an hole-in-one. And as I've already gotten the other chest here on this account, you will see that I'm getting the chest that is left to get. And that could obviously be frustrating, as you would like to have an obsidian chest more, but that's just how it works with a golden shot. Now, a clear northeast wind here, no in between. We're gonna have this one obviously top of the yellow ring, red, and then right side of the yellow ring as well as reference points. And we are adding the spins eventually. There we go. So I'm using 4 bars of backspin here and a little click of left spin. 6.2 miles per hour, 3.7 rings. Pulling the 3.7 now. I truly need to hurry up here, otherwise I will be timing out. Getting the perfect ball away on the 0, and it bounces on the fairway up towards the pin. Coming in hot though, being very lucky. That's why we have a little bit more backspin in this angle listed in the guide, because obviously if that would have missed the pin, that would have been, I mean, it would still be a ring, but it would not have been the red ring or the yellow ring as worst. Razor, Sniper, we do have Tsunami, and then some Berserker balls as well in the end. Moving on. Now wind, right to left with Headwind. Have we learned anything from the first 2 shots that we did have here? Hopefully we have. And we are using the yellow ring once again as reference points. Bottom part of the yellow ring by the shadow, right side of the yellow ring by the rough line. Applying the spins, 5.2 miles per hour is 3.1 rings, and we're gonna once again pull over the bullseye. Adjustment is done. And you can see here that I'm respinning a little bit. I'm removing a little bit of backspin, and also adding a little bit of right spin. As I read that wind angle not to be completely southwest wind. Bounces up here onto the green. We're getting this one to drop lovely with a lovely speed for a hole-in-one. Don't be afraid of obviously tweak, as you might notice that the wind angle isn't as you read it from the start. That could be the difference between burning the edge or getting a nice hole-in-one. Now, one more shot to go, and we are taking a look at that one. And now we do have a crosswind coming left to right, like a direct crosswind, maybe with a hint of headwind. Top of the yellow ring by the rough line, shadow line, and then right side by the rough line. 3.5 backspin and 0.5 left spin. 6.2 miles per hour is a 3.7 range. We had 6.2 miles per hour on several shots here, so we should be remembering that by now. Pulling over the bullseye, I'm gonna pull a little bit more because I did run out of finger. Centered ball and hit perfect, and we're gonna give ourselves another good chance to lock in and hole in one. There we go, and hole in one it is, and we're opening up this chest, locking in another set of berserkers together with some nice cards. The Apache, what do we have? And then go open the chest. The Goliath and Saturn. I mean, I'm opening this chest in an absolute slow motion. Quarterback, and then we'll see what epic. It's Big Topper, which is good, and some berserkers as well in the end. Let's take a look at the text guide made by Tony Richardson, based on my shots alone, and we're gonna start at the left side. This is the Headwind part. Bottom of Yellow Ring by the Shadow, right of Yellow Ring by the Rough. You can use the ball guideline as a reference. If you want to use that as a reference, you do that before you're adding spins. 2.7 backspin, 0.2 left spin in left to right headwind, direct headwind. 2.5 backspin in the wind coming right to left with headwind. 2.7 backspin, 0.2 right side spin. Looking at the red values there, which is tailwind and crosswind. Top of Yellow Ring by the Shadow, right of Yellow Ring by the Rough. If you want to use the ball guideline, you can do that, but do that before you're adding spins. 4.2 backspin, 0.2 left spin in direct headwind. Wind coming left to right with tailwind. 4.1 backspin, 0.3 left spin. Wind coming right to left with tailwind. 4.1 backspin, 0.2 right spin. Direct crosswind left to right. 3.5 backspin, half a bar left spin. And wind coming right to left with crosswind. 3.5 bar backspin and 0.5 bars of right spin. We use different landing positions to avoid the glitch rolling tailwinds. Both positions use the same adjustment and the same VPR table, and you always pull over the bullseye. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending time watching this video. For the guide for the golden shot hard, and hopefully you will see some success. Let us know in the comment section below if what you did get in your chest. Have in mind that the golden shot clock goes quicker than the normal shot clock, so make sure to not take too much time so you time out. Get our guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy.